Welcome to the vast expanse of African wilderness, just teeming with wildlife. This is the Masai Mara, and my name is Jamie, and this afternoon Dave is on camera with me, and the reason that we're laughing at each other is because we had this all planned out for the start of the safari, but the gremlins attacked and we didn't quite get there in time. But what an amazing drive into work, and what a way to actually basically overcome the trauma of last night, where Dave and myself were told that there was spaghetti waiting for us when we got back, a dish of pasta, and so we raced eagerly up the hill until we didn't race eagerly up the hill anymore. In fact, we didn't go anywhere. And Paka stuttered all the way home and is now with the mechanic. So without dwelling too much on that, we have a herd of Masai giraffe giving us the most extraordinary view, accompanied by zebra, by impala, somewhere there. There they are. There's the impala, the massive, massive impala of the Mara, which is a great sentence now that I think about it. And there's actually a dopey as well, doing its thing on a termite mound. It's off to the right there, Dave, unless I'm massively in the way. No, I'm not. There we go. There's a dopey. So 4 species, and we haven't even got down off the mountain yet. This has definitely got to be the best drive into work ever. Hey Raffies, you're not quite sure what to do about us, huh? They want to come past, but they're not entirely convinced. So they're going to do their stand and stare thing. They really are beautiful here. And what I've noticed, you don't see it so much with the females, but what I've noticed about the male giraffe in this area is just how prominent that bone is between, or just sort of between their eyes on their forehead. One of them that we saw looked like a triceratops, didn't it, Dave?
It did.
It did. They really are extraordinarily pronounced, far more so than the ones that occur in South Africa. It's just something interesting. And while we watch the giraffe, look, that giraffe is telling you to do something. You know what that giraffe is telling you to do? Apart from the quick wink. It's telling you to send through questions and comments on #SafariLive on Twitter. Right, now I hear, according to Brent, that there are lions in the area on a buffalo kill. And it'll be a pride that I've never seen before. The sausage pride, also known as the sausage tree pride, we still have to determine exactly what the official name is. So while we make our way across to the lions from our tree-like animals, let's go to Ali with a tree. This is the extraordinary thing about being in the Mara, especially as somebody who really can't get enough of elephants, is every now and again you find yourself surrounded by them in these extraordinary large herds. And that happens in the Sabi Sands as well. But out here, that sense of space is just that much more magnified. They're not disappearing anytime soon. And I can't help but wonder if this is the herd with the little one in it. We saw it being born, when was it? Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
2 days ago.
I honestly, days are blurring slowly but surely into one. But we saw a little elephant take its first steps, and I've been looking for it ever since. But an elephant that size, if you're an adult female, you stick out above the grass, but for a tiny baby elephant, we might not even see its back.
There's a baby.
Is there a baby? Oh, there's a baby. Hey! What's happening? Are you stuck in a swamp? Come on, off you go. Up you get.
Is it him?
Tucker, age 4, while we watch our elephant climb up the bank, you want to know if we have trees with woolly worms. Tucker, we do actually. We absolutely do. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the caterpillar bush. And this is so sweet. Look at it saying well done for climbing up. Tucker, we do. We do have caterpillar bushes here, or the woolly worm bushes. I haven't seen that many of them. We also have something different here called a woolly caper bush. And that's the one that Brent keeps getting confused. He can't remember the difference between a woolly caper bush and a caterpillar bush. If I find one, Tucker, I'll show you what a woolly caper bush looks like. And then you can add it to your collection. I have to share the story with you because I heard it a few days ago and I haven't really had the opportunity to tell you it yet, and it's such a great one. When I first arrived here, we'd been driving for 5-6 hours. I'm not quite sure how long the drive is. It's about 6 hours. And I arrived in the evening, and Brent and myself went straight into a rangers meeting to meet with some of the safari guides that work at Djuma. Fantastic group of people. I'm really looking forward to working with them. And we were talking, they have a special show and tell session. And trust me, this is connected to the elephants you're watching, I promise. They had a special show and tell session, and it involved each of the guides doing a bit of research on a topic, which I think is a wonderful idea. Stuff that they don't necessarily know. And it was on a millipede. Just wait for it. Promise you there's a connection. So apparently the local Masai name, don't ask me to remember what it is because I was barely even human at that point, let alone capable of remembering anything except the story. The Masai word directly translated, or the name for a millipede, basically means he who leads the cattle to water. And apparently, look, they might have been having me on. I had just arrived after all, and there's a certain spirit amongst guides to do something like this. But apparently the story goes that all of the animals were really very thirsty, and it was a time of great drought, and there was only one water hole. And the elephants were hogging it, as we have seen elephants do in the past. They do often chase other animals away from water holes. And the animals got thirstier and thirstier until eventually they convened a meeting. And the millipede volunteered its services, and of course the animals all laughed and said, "What can you do to help us?" And the millipede said, "Just wait." And the millipede crawled up to the water hole and got its friends to crawl up to the water hole, and they all crawled up the trunks of the elephants and gave them such a tickle that the elephants ran away from the water, and the animals could all go and drink. So there you go. I will try and find out what the local Masai name is. I have completely forgotten. It was a long day. But that story stuck out in my mind as something quite special. Millipedes to the rescue. Roshni, you say, wow, this grass looks so much greener. It is in this particular section. This is a very boggy, swampy section of this reserve. So it's the sort of area where you look at that and you think, oh, that looks perfect to drive on, until you sink up to your axles in mud and realize that maybe it wasn't such a good idea. So it's a different species of grass. I don't know which species of grass it is. I'm still coming to grips with all of the different types of plants here. Most of them are familiar, but that is basically a swamp that the elephants are standing in, which is why that little baby was struggling to get up, and why the elephants, apart from the fact that they're behind a slight hill, are sinking down into the mud. I can't remember what it's called though, this section. I have absolutely no idea. See? Females with long tusks. Lots and lots of them. The grasses of the Masai Mara are, of course, looking very green and healthy thanks to the late rains. I think it's safe to say that it's not quite the same on Djuma. If you were ever wondering why it is that lions climb trees out here, just have a look at the numerous flies. Hundreds of thousands of them gathered around this buffalo kill, and within that, some of them will be biting flies. They bite us too. Tsetse flies. It feels, how did Steph describe it? It feels a bit like somebody took a very thin wire and put it in a flame for a few seconds and then touched your skin with it. And you can imagine that's not very pleasant if you're a lion, or a person, or indeed anyone. And that's one of the big reasons why lions in this particular area will often go up into the trees. I've only seen it once since I've been here, so I'm hoping to see more of it. It's such a strange image for us who are sort of programmed to see leopards in trees, to suddenly see the great vast bulk of a lion. Hey girl, she's contemplating going and eating something, or growling at a cub. Ooh, fly in the ear. My ear, not the lioness's ear. Where are you going? I'm just looking at this lioness and trying to figure out where she's going. So if I duck out of your way, things will change when we have Paka. We have one of the lionesses, I think, just going off in search of some relief from the flies and from the cubs. We have a question, and I'm sorry I missed the name, but Alice will feed it through to me in roughly 10 seconds. We have a question about how it is that you can tell whether a cub is a boy or a girl. Katie, welcome to the Sunset Safari. Katie, you want to know how you can tell if the cub's a boy or a girl. It's actually quite tricky if you're not entirely sort of geared up towards figuring that stuff out. The gap between let me try and describe this properly. Essentially, because young males, they haven't hit puberty yet, so their testicles haven't descended. So you can't obviously tell in that way, but what it does is the space where the testicles will descend is quite clear in a male cub, whereas in a female, that space is slightly reduced between the rectum or the anus and the reproductive organs. And if you ask really nicely, Katie, I'm sure some of our viewers will have a really great guide. I've seen a picture that many people have shared, and I've got it in my reference books, but unfortunately not with me at the moment. There go the cubs. Look, Dave. Trotting after Mum. Let me duck down out of your way. Little things in long grass. Won't you show us underneath your tail so we can tell if you're a boy or a girl? That's not going to happen. So, Katie, if perhaps some of our viewers would be kind enough to share that little diagram with you on #SafariLive on Twitter. Mom's calling cubs now. There goes another little one, Dave. Sorry, I'm bouncing you all over the place. There you go. There's another one of the young ones. Before we used to just have to duck our heads. Now we have to duck our entire bodies. Oh, it's making little sounds. Oh, I've missed this. Apparently you all at Djuma have had the wonderful opportunity of seeing a new Nkuhuma cub, but it's been a while. Oh, screenshot bottom quickly, if you had a chance. No, it's gone now behind the grass. I was thinking perhaps we could do a quick guess as to whether this is a male or a female cub walking away from us. I hear you've got a new cub of the Nkuhumas to keep you entertained, but we haven't seen lion cubs in a while. Not little lion cubs. Oh, it's going to go off right to Mum. Lift Jamie. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting how low the camera is.
There you go, here's a shot.
Oh, wow. There we go, screenshot everybody if the cub lifts its tail. Colleen, you say, oh, such a cute baby. Oh, they are sweet, aren't they? One older and 2 younger by the looks of things. In fact, that might even be 3 different ages. Looking at them now, one's definitely a lot younger than the other 2. Alright, our lioness is going back towards the kill. We're not going anywhere. My head's in the way again. Let's go across to Taylor with a massive tusker. We are still with our amazing lions and with the cubs that are now known as the little sausages. Hey, little sausages, now of course, because we want to talk about you, you've disappeared behind the long grass. Moving around here is not all that easy, but we've still got one to keep us entertained. Already with the black tips behind its ear. You know, of course, Dave, it was inevitable that when we came here, they'd all move that side. Naturally. Oh, someone's chewing on the carcass because there's a cloud of flies taking off above them. Oh, they're all here. Oh, goodness. Ow, don't bite me. Sorry. One of them just bit me on the thigh and it wasn't particularly pleasant. Oh, I can hear a Cokie Franklin. That's a familiar sound from home. Now, speaking of the flies that have just nipped me on the leg, John, you would like to know if there's any natural way that the animals keep the flies off them. Not all of these are tsetse flies, by the way. In fact, I don't actually see a tsetse fly within that particular group. But the lions, as I said, will go up trees. A lot of the animals will wallow in mud and try and go onto crests where if there's a bit of a breeze, something that will keep the flies away. Oh, look, a cheeky little one tucking in there. But for the most part, John, they're just used to it. Learning to share with Mum. It's something that lions are not particularly good at. There's a lot of growling involved at the dinner table. The Koki Franklin here sounds like it's overdosed on its cups of coffee today. Just a different accent. Could you hear it there, Dave?
Yeah.
Koki, Koki, Koki. Sounds different to Djuma. Oh, third mouth not quite strong enough to break off a chunk of flesh, huh, little one? Takes some serious chewing happening there. Yes, use those back teeth, that's what you should do. And tug. Come on, give it a tug. Sure. Janet, yes, I think there are more flies in the Mara just because there's more animals just in terms of density, and I think that would suggest that there are more flies here. And of course there are tsetsis, which we don't really get in South Africa. It's certainly not on Djuma. But I guess there must be more flies. Just, oh, look at the little one. That's it. Get right in there. Jump on that carcass. So I guess, yes, in a way, you could say there are more flies just because there's more for them to feed on, particularly during the migration where it's just carnage, essentially. Colleen, while we watch the lioness stick her entire head into the carcass. Oh, yum. Bet you smell lovely, my dear. Colleen, you want to know what the effects of the tsetse fly can be? Apart from the somewhat painful bite, I mean, it does only last a couple of milliseconds, but you're aware of it. It creates in certain people, naturally myself included, given the way I react to ticks in general, tsetse flies create an itchy, painful lump on your skin, and basically just your body reacting to the substance of their saliva. And then from there they do transmit sleeping sickness. Now, it is possible to get sleeping sickness from them. I would suggest that the animals out here have a pretty much natural immunity to that, whereas human beings, not so much. Oh, here comes the first vehicle on their way to see the lions. Sorry, Dave. Sorry. Dave thought I was about to show him something very exciting. I was merely suggesting the possibility of movement. He appears to have found a road that we did not know about, Dave, which is happening to me a lot around here. I've also gone on roads I think I know where they're going to lead to, and they lead in the opposite direction, like yesterday. Oh, cubs playing at the back. I wonder if we shouldn't go round and back onto the road. Let me just wait to see where this vehicle picks his spot, and then I'll move around, rather than having two engines on at the same time. Mr. Filipovic, you would like to know where the mail is. I have absolutely no idea. Here somewhere, I would presume. Apparently he was around here. I don't know where he is. I assume he's found himself a nice shady spot somewhere. Let's wait and see where this vehicle goes. I assume he's around. You saw him this morning, didn't you, Dave? You did, Fang, the one with the missing canine. So, Mr. Filipovic, I assume he's here somewhere. He might even make an appearance. Unfortunately, due to the fact that the gate closes at a set time, we won't be able to stay with them till it gets dark, but we've got another 20 minutes or so, I would say, before it will be time for us to wend our way back home. Right. I'm going to reposition. That is what I want to do. So while I do that, since it's not very exciting and it's a bit bumpy, let's go across to Ali. And I didn't hear what she's doing, but I'm sure as always it will be very exciting. Look at that. The sun is setting over the Olololololo mountain range, also known as the Olololo mountain range, which means that it's time for us to start wending our way home, and hopefully not as traumatic a journey as it was last night, Dave. Over there you will see a sea of grass in front of you. It does in fact hold a quite much more common species than on Djuma, in the form of a ground hornbill, Dave. There, I see a head. I see a head, look, there we go. Haha. I say more common, doesn't mean that they're not endangered, but you do see more of them out here, which is another one of my favourite things about the Mara. Not only do you see more of them, they are very accustomed to the presence of safari vehicles. And yesterday I even had a juvenile, was it yesterday? Whenever it was, walking right up to the vehicle to come and say hello. So, Taylor's been asking you track quizzes. There you go. They leave a very similar track to the yellow-billed hornbill, just obviously much, much larger. And of course, for our new viewers, you can't really get a sense of perspective, because with this grass as long as it is, they could be elephants for all you know, or the size of elephants. They're obviously not actually elephants. So it's about the size of a turkey, give or take, with a very big, powerful bill, built for catching things like snakes. And speaking of birds that walk on the ground and are snake catchers, I can't wait to have a lovely secretary bird sighting with all of you. Seen quite a few of them as well. Here you go. It's lovely eyelashes. You can see the winds tossing against its feathers. We've had storms pretty much every night. In fact, I think this is the clearest night we've had in days. And very soon, it will be time for them to start heading home, finding a nice tree to roost in. Much like us, but without the roosting in trees part. Sort of. We're in a forest. Look at that view. Isn't that spectacular? It's my favourite thing. You've got the mountains on one side and the vast open spaces on the other. And if we go a little bit further to the right, that is where Dave and I got about halfway up. We struggled halfway up, let's be honest, in first gear low range, with my foot flat on the floor, and eventually we came to a shuddering, duddering halt.
Right at the top.
Right at the top. We were so close, Dave. We were right there. My favourite part of that was I called the camp to let them know that I was stuck, and Steph asked Brent to ask me if I was in low range, to which Brent very sensibly replied, you Steph, if you really want to ask her that, you ask her, because if I ask her, I'm going to be sleeping in the bathroom. And he was right. Am I in low range? Oh no, that's why we're not getting up the hill. I'm not that absent-minded just yet. Right, we do need to start pressing onwards towards the gate. We've now got basically 15 minutes to get to the top of that hill. And so on we go. We will be heading back home, but Taylor doesn't have to do that. So let's go and find out what she has planned for the rest of her evening.